in the beginning to the present. I am Bobby Reno, the East Greenbush Town Historian, and I will be your narrator for this presentation. I think Hampton Manor is the diamond of East Greenbush. It is a wonderful neighborhood with lots of nature to enjoy. The maps you will see in this presentation are done by the late Jesse Cunningham. Did you wonder how Hampton Manor got its name? Well, it's really pretty simple. Harold Veeder was having dinner in Albany at the Hotel Hampton. I guess he liked the name Hampton. On old maps drawn up in 1788 and 1789 by John E. Van Allen for the patroon Stephen Van Rensselaer, we can see the farms of the Yates and Van Schaik families. In the area where the lake is now, we see a brook called the Vish Water Vlaai. Vish meaning fresh water and Vlaai meaning swamp. These old maps were studied by Jesse Cunningham and unfortunately not available to photograph for this program. During the War of 1812, the U.S. government purchased land from Stephen Van Rensselaer to construct upon it the Greenbush Cantonment. This is a map drawn up by Jesse Cunningham. On the top, you can see the building layout of the Greenbush Cantonment. Where the blue arrow is pointing is Kirtland Pond, located between what is now New Jersey and New York Avenues. In 1964, the town filled in the pond and made a basketball court. To the right of the map, where it indicates swampland, is the Vish Water Vlaai that eventually became Hampton Lake. In 1831, the buildings of the Greenbush Cantonment were taken down. The U.S. government sold the land to Hawthorne McCullough. Hawthorne McCullough left one building standing, an officer's quarters, for his private residence. He named his farm the U.S. Cantonment Farm. In 1843, he sold the southern portion of his farm to his son, William A. McCullough. Using the materials of the dismantled buildings, William A. McCullough built his own private residence in 1843. This building was completed in 1844 and named Hawthornden. We know it today as the Manor House or the McCullough Mansion. This is the remaining building of the Greenbush Cantonment that was once an officer's quarters. This is what it looks like today. And this is Hawthornden today. Here I will do a little advertisement for another project that I have been working on in a program that I do. In July of 1813, a court-martial was held at the Greenbush Cantonment. At this court-martial, 4 men were tried, 1 man for the charge of desertion. Private Samuel Helms was charged with desertion. He was found guilty and executed by a firing squad in late August or early September of that year. Now, I have researched this court-martial and execution for almost 10 years now, and I've uncovered evidence of the illegality of this court-martial and of the wrongful charge of desertion against Private Samuel Helms, resulting in his death. I am now in the process of trying to clear his military record and locate his descendants, if there are any. And I do a PowerPoint program on this entitled An Injustice at Greenbush Cantonment War of 1812. I put this in here now because it is part of the history of Hampton Manor, although a sad part of the history of Hampton Manor. This is a map drawn up by Jesse Cunningham, showing the two McCullough farms, the North Farm, owned by Hawthorne McCullough, and the South Farm by William A. McCullough. The blue line is the border between the two farms. Take note of the oval in the bottom center right. That was a racetrack, approximately where Zappella Apartments are today. The following are interesting photos taken around 1914. This is looking from McCullough Place to the west, where the red arrow points is Hampton Avenue. This is looking towards Albany. The red arrow points to the remaining cantonment building hidden amongst the trees. There have been stories of the three trees having been trees from which deserters were hung during the War of 1812. Or another story was that the three trees were planted in honor of three admired officers killed during that war. However, looking at the dates of these photos, it appears to me that the trees are too small to have been existing in 1812. It was said if you stood to the west looking at the trees, they formed the shape of a three-legged elephant. To me, it looks more like a camel. What do you think? Looking again to the west, the yellow arrow points to Hampton Avenue. To the right is the area of Red Mill School. Notice the orchard in the foreground. This photograph was taken standing on the east side of the lake, where the lake is now, by Hampton Avenue. That is where the blue arrow is pointing. The red arrow points to the school that was burned down in 1922 and was replaced by the Clinton Heights School building that is now the East Greenbush Town Hall. The red circle indicates the Vischwater Vlaie, where the side of the lake that's by Hampton Avenue is now. On April 20th, 1925, and recorded in the Book 427 of Deeds on May 7th, 1925, Lottie L. McCullough, Charlotte A. McCullough, William A. McCullough, and Florence McCullough sold to Harold Veeder of H.G. Veeder Realty Company of Schenectady and later Albany, New York, 187 acres of land to develop what is now Hampton Manor. Hampton Manor was never part of the lands of the Greenbush Cantonment of the War of 1812. The deed. I call this Hampton Manor's birth certificate. I know it's hard to read. However, I have copies in my office at the East Greenbush Town Hall if you request one. This is the deed for the sale of the land that would become Hampton Manor from the McCullough family to Harold Veeder, dated May 7th, 1925. Who was Harold G. Veeder? Harold Garrett Veeder was born on November 17, 1900, in Schenectady, New York. He was a real estate developer who built homes in Hampton Manor and Birchwood Park in Schenectady. He died on August 25, 1970, at the age of 69. He is buried in the Veeder family plot in Vale Cemetery in Schenectady, New York. Harold Veeder offered frame houses, with or without cellars, with different exteriors, but the same 2 to 3 bedroom floor plans to be ordered and delivered within 4 weeks for the prices of $7,000 to $8,900, including landscaping. He built approximately 200 of the houses now in Hampton Manor. When Harold Veeder began the development of Hampton Manor, he started by installing septic tank systems. Then he dug deep wells, and the water was pumped to storage tanks on the hill on Hudson Avenue, where the tanks still stand today. In 1926, that was the year Hampton Lake was born, when Harold Veeder dammed up the Vieshwater Vlaie. Most people, including myself, call the lake Hampton Manor Lake, but its real name is Hampton Lake. This is a map showing the topography of the lake. Hampton Lake is the largest body of water in East Greenbush. The lake has a surface area of 14.5 acres, with a shoreline of about 0.8 of a mile. As those of us who walk around the lake or ride our bikes or jog fully know, the road around the lake is just under 1 mile. The lake is 1,800 feet long and contains almost 23 million gallons of water, with a mean depth of 5 feet and a maximum depth of about 11 feet. If you will note the sharp drop-off in the portion of the lake near Hampton Avenue, this was a factor in a tragedy that will be shown later in this program. Harold Veeder had this map drawn up in 1925. Did you know Hampton Manor is divided into 3 sections? I know this map is hard to read, so I broke it down into 3 sections for you to see. The blue ovals are section 1. Note the yellow oval. It is marked Development of this area unplanned. But Veeder did have a plan. This is where the swampy little cove is now by the tennis courts and the playgrounds. Veeder planned to fill this in and make a small park with a bridge over this area for foot and motor traffic. It never happened because of the Great Depression, and sales of lots and homes were down. The red rectangle is section 2. The green trapezoid is section 3. I love these photo panoramas taken in the 1930s, where you can see the development of Hampton Manor progressing. In this aerial photo, taken by J.S. McLean in 1968, you can see an almost fully developed Hampton Manor. Note Red Mill School up in the upper left and the sandpits in the upper right. This is an ad from 1927. Hampton Lake was intended at that time for use only by the residents of Hampton Manor. Yes, it was an exclusive development, as this deed from the 1930s states. I, for one, am happy to say that today, as the mural on the activity house by the lake depicts, all are welcome to live in Hampton Manor. The building of the houses in Hampton Manor started in the 1920s. I cannot tell from these photos where these houses are located now. But I do know where and when the very first house built in Hampton Manor is located. And here it is. These photos show the house then and today. The address of the house is 237 Columbia Turnpike. Some of the finest houses in Hampton Manor are Sears Roebuck kit houses. There are over 60 of them. And on the left, the blue house shown is a lustrum. The history of these houses are very interesting, but that's for another program. St. Mary's Church was built in the 1920s. It was located on Hampton Avenue. The photo on the right was taken the day of the very first Mass on May 22, 1927. Harold Veeder formed the Hampton Manor Waterworks Corporation, exclusive only for Hampton Manor. There is a spring located on Lot 6 in Section 1. Harold Veeder entered into an agreement for the right of easement and to maintain this spring. The blue box shows where the spring is located in Section 1. The red box shows the water storage tanks for the Hampton Manor Waterworks Corporation were placed and today can still be seen on Hudson Avenue in Section 3 of Hampton Manor. On July 11, 1949, the Hampton Manor Waterworks became Hampton Manor Hillview Water District No. 4, when Veeder sold Hampton Manor Waterworks Corporation to the town of East Greenbush, for $65,000. These photos were taken in 1949, the year the town purchased the waterworks. Harold Veeder is marked by the red arrow. The other men are unidentified. After years of the infrastructure and water quality decline, on September 5, 2018, the Hampton Manor Water District ended, and Hampton Manor joined the general water district of the town of East Greenbush. By 1956, Harold Veeder had liquidated all his Hampton Manor holdings except the lake. He sold Hampton Waterworks, pure spring water available for every lot, to the town of East Greenbush, but retained the exclusive right to determine whether Hampton Lake would continue or be abandoned, and the right to remove or lower the dam. With these two provisions, Veeder sold Hampton Lake to the town on February 1st, 1957, for $13,500. Sadly, there have been tragedies in Hampton Manor. The beauty of Hampton Manor and Hampton Lake has been marred in the past by tragedies. In June of 1931, a 24-year-old Hampton Avenue woman fell from the diving tower on a float near the spillway. She died soon after at Albany's Old Memorial Hospital. She left two sons, the youngest of which was 3 months old. On August 15, 1935, a double tragedy happened when a 45-year-old Lakeshore Drive man waded into the lake with a 4-year-old boy from St. Clair Avenue on his shoulders. He stepped off the drop into deep water, not realizing the steep slope, and they both drowned. Remember the topography map of Hampton Lake we saw in an earlier slide? Shown was the sudden drop-off in the lake that was near Hampton Avenue. This is what contributed to that tragedy. Another tragedy occurred on May 17, 1939, when a 9-year-old McCullough Place boy drowned when the makeshift boat he was in with another boy capsized in the lake. This sad incident caused the purchase of the first ambulance for the Citizen Hose Company Rescue Squad, an old hearse. How many of you recall the day the lake caught fire? On May 1st, 2012, it was reported some young people threw matches into the weeds in the Little Cove area. I apologize for this blurry photo that I took. It was an exciting time, and I guess I was a bit excited running down to capture the fire. However, there were many fun activities held, like miniature sailboat races held by a local model yacht club from 1933 to 1941. Wouldn't you like to see something like that held today? I would. Hampton Manor once had an improvement association in 1934. Note the various committees. See how many names you recognize. Yes, once there was swimming in Hampton Lake. The East Greenbush School District provided the dock and lifeguards. Full disclosure, in the center photo, that's a 3-year-old me with Don Langley. I had such a crush on him. And do you remember swimming out to the far dock? How brave that was to do? Today, there are many activities in Hampton Manor. And there are good things ahead for beautiful Hampton Manor. Thank you for viewing this program.